Chapter 4: The Making of Global World. Q.3. Write a note and explain the effects of the following. A. The British government's decision to abolish the Corn Laws. B. The coming of rinderpest to Africa. C. The death of men of working age in Europe because of the World War. D. The Great Depression on the Indian economy. E. The decision of MNCs to relocate production to Asian countries. ANS. AI. The scrapping of corn laws lead to free trade of food grains. E. After the abolition of corn laws, food could be imported into Britain more cheaply than it could be produced within the country. E. British farmers were unable to compete with imports. Vast areas of land were now left uncultivated, and thousands of men and women were thrown out of work. They flocked to the cities or migrated overseas. IV. Increase in demand due to fall in prices and increase in income leads to mismatch between demand and supply of food grains. V. Many countries of the world like Russia, America and Australia and some Eastern European countries started exporting food grains to Britain, which gave further setback to the local producers. B. Arrival of rinderpest. Rinderpest arrived in Africa in the late 1880s. Within 2 years, it spread in the whole continent, reaching Cape Town, Africa's southernmost tip, within 5 years. E. Loss of cattle. The germs of the disease were carried by infected cattle imported from British Asia to feed the Italian soldiers invading Eritrea in eastern Africa. The rinderpest killed about 90% of the cattle. E. Loss of livelihood. As cattle was the main wealth of the people, so the loss of cattle destroyed the African livelihoods. IV. African into labor market. Planters, mine owners and colonial governments now successfully monopolized what scarce cattle resources remained, to strengthen their power, and to force the Africans into the labor market. V. Subdue of Africa. Control over scarce resource of cattle enabled the European colonizers to conquer and subdue Africa. C. Reduction in the workforce. Most of the killed and injured were men of working age. These deaths and injuries reduced the able-bodied workforce in Europe. With fewer numbers within the family, the household income declined after the war. E. New social setup. The entire societies were reorganized for war. As men went to battle, women stepped in to undertake jobs that earlier only men were expected to do. D. Impact on trade. The Depression immediately affected Indian trade. India's exports and imports nearly halved between 1928 and 1934. As international prices crashed, prices in India plunged. Between 1928 and 1934, wheat prices in India fell by about 50%. If impact on farmers, the fall in prices had a deep impact on the poor farmers. Though agricultural prices fell sharply, but the colonial government refused to give any relief to the farmers in taxes. Peasants producing toward the world market were the worst hit. E. Impact on urban India. The Depression proved less grim for urban India. Because of falling prices, those with fixed income, say town-dwelling landowners, who received rents, and middle-class salaried employees now found themselves better off. Everything low cost. IV. High industrial investment. Industrial investment also grew as the government extended tariff protection to industries, under the pressure of nationalist opinion. V. Political impact. The Great Depression paved way for Gandhiji to launch the civil disobedience movement. E. Wages are relatively low in Asian countries due to excess supply of workers. E. Most of these economies have low cost structure. E. Most of these countries have a huge market. Like and subscribe this channel.